Yorkshire City a lineup of international rally cars. The opening round of the 1985 Shell Oil's British Open Rally Championship. The National Breakdown Rally had attracted a superb entry for this two-day international, and amongst the competitors, the world's top lady rally driver, MICHELE MOUTON. Michelle, it's a very slippery day today for the National Breakdown Rally. What do you think about it?
You know, like, it's always like that in England, I think. Okay, the only experience I have is RSA, and a lot of time it's the same conditions, so we are used.
Why have you decided to do the international championship here in Britain?
First, because Audi UK asked me to do it, and I was very pleased. And I accepted because I consider it's a challenge for me and a good opportunity to have this unknown rally, to push always your limit, your own limit, and I think it's a very good challenge for me to try to do it.
And who do you think will be the drivers who will be pushing you today and tomorrow?
All of them. They know so well the road, and you know, they are so used to do those rally. I think it will be difficult for me, but I accept it.
Malcolm, firstly, what about the conditions for this rally this weekend?
Well, I've got to be honest, I felt like staying in bed this morning when I looked out the window, but I'm sure it's the same for everybody.
But won't it suit the four-wheel drive Audi?
Well, yeah, obviously if it is wet and slippery, but the car is quite a pick to drive on conditions like that as well, so. But it does have the advantage of, you know, the four-wheel drive. Now,
since the Swedish, you've had a pretty hectic time. I believe you've borrowed an engine.
That's right. I mean, I wouldn't have been here unless it was for David Sutton and Audi. They actually loaned me an engine for the event, which, you know, it's made it all worthwhile.
And when was the car, in fact, finished?
The car was really finished last night. There was a little water problem last night, and the boys didn't finish it until about 11 o'clock or something.
Burke, you've had it easy in Group A for the last couple of years here in Britain. It looks as if it's going to be rather different this season.
I've never been easy, man. I think it's more difficult this year.
Who do you think are going to be the opposition? And do you consider Tony Pond in the Big Rover opposition, for instance?
Tony Pond is always very, very quick. We know from Manx Rally, I mean, he was quicker than the Group B car sometimes. So he's a big problem, and there's many good drivers now.
And the Peugeots too, do you see those?
Peugeot is very good, and you have the level in the Escorts, and AITKEN-WALKER, he is quick like else. It's been hard work.
And how is your car this season? Is it quicker than last?
About exactly the same, so I mean the end of the last year.
And what
Maybe
about,
2 horsepower.
What about Per Eklund? Is he quicker than last year?
It's 1 year older.
Louise, a new season and for you a new team. What about this Peugeot you're driving?
Well, it's a Group A. It's not the big thing that's winning everything at the moment. But these are two cars. I run one of the cars, and Michael Sundstrom runs the other. They come from Coventry, run by Des O'Dell, Peugeot Talbot. The team has never been out for 3 years in competition, so really it's a new ball game to us all.
Within minutes of the start, the competitors were tackling the tarmac special stages at Bradford's Bowling Park and Lightwater Valley. MICHELE MOUTON and the Audi UK Quattro set the pace as she powered the German four-wheel drive car into an early lead. Running at number 2 with the Duckham's Toyota, Group A would be a tough assignment for Swede Per Eklund, who sent the arrows flying. Pentti Ricola had started late with his Group A Opel and was immediately in trouble with a broken fan belt. Next came the more powerful Group B Opel of reigning champion Jimmy McCrae. The Scotsman knew that retaining that title would be a tough task. Jimmy's AC Delco Manta was new, and so was his co-driver, Ian Grindrod. Jimmy's regular sparring partner and GM teammate Russell Brooks was at number 6 and trying hard as ever in his Manta. And Malcolm Wilson in his private Quattro was very spectacular indeed. Many fancied Wilson to win this one, and in the opening stages he was just seconds behind the factory car of MOUTON. Northampton's Terry Cavey and the Team Nissan Europe 240 RS was another determined man in a two-wheel drive car, and he was felling the arrows too. He was destined for a very good event. At number 10, the crowd favourite, Tony Pond in the Big Rover Vitesse, and he was definitely a contender for the Group A honours. Pond was, as always, on the limit as he headed for the forests. Welshman David Llewellyn, after winning the national title last year, has been promoted to the British Audi team and was motoring very hard on those opening stages. Ireland's Bertie Fisher in his GM Team Opel is away from home territory, but he was another destined to have a very good rally with his regular co-driver Austin Fraser. Michael Sundstrom is fast and spectacular, but would the combination of the rising Finn and the unproven Group A version of the Peugeot 205 challenge Eklund? Sundstrom is trying very hard, and he locks the front wheels as he approaches this blind right-hander. This is a very surprising Skoda. Norway's John Hagland in a Group B 130 LR all the way from Czechoslovakia. He was the strong favourite for the new 1300cc class in the championship. Malcolm Wilson was in superb form, and once the rally moved into the North Yorkshire Forest, he had overhauled Michele Mouton for the lead. But could Malcolm stay in front around the dusty tracks on the Old Croft race circuit? Wilson's calm co-driver Nigel Harris knew exactly where they were going. British-based Michele Mouton, with as ever Fabrizia Pons at her side, was using the huge power of her Pirelli-shod Audi to very good effect. When she reached Croft, she was trying very hard indeed, but she could only equal Malcolm's time, so he was still 20 seconds in the lead. Behind, there was a superb battle for the honour of the best two-wheel drive car in the rally, and Terry Cabey in the Nissan was fifth, chasing the Opels hard. The ebullient Tony Pond was leading Group A, but disaster was around the corner. Soon after Croft, he would retire due to a blown head gasket, but many predict that the Computer Vision Rover will be a Group A winner soon. They say that no man is faster downhill than Michael Sundstrom in a little Peugeot, but he is quick on the flat too, and was in the thick of the Group A struggle, matching the times of Eklund and Pond. Louise AITKEN-WALKER was getting to grips with a sister car, but sadly, Sundstrom retired after hitting a rock, and Louise dropped out too. Another Group A contender, John Midgley in his Silkeline Toyota, but he had been slowed by early handling problems, but was now happier. 10 seconds. Dawn came up after a tough night, the leaderboard had a new look about it. Still ahead, now by a sizable margin, was Malcolm Wilson. Mouton was out after clouting a rock and breaking the suspension. The morning sun lit up the tired faces of the crews still remaining, but the daunting Dalby Forest was still in front of them. Russell Brooks, with Mike Broad on the maps, was firmly in second place, but unable to challenge, it appeared. But champion MCRAE was out with a broken oil pump. That man Terry Cabey was still spectacular in the Nissan and was in a strong third position. Local man Chris Lord, in only his third outing in a Quattro, had adapted well to the four-wheel drive and over 300 brake horsepower. He was happy in fourth spot. Phil Collins in his Manto had been having a good run, and the red car was in fifth place, thanks to consistently quick times throughout the night. Group A was now firmly the domain of Per Eklund. As ever, he was in amongst the specialist Group B cars and was tidy as ever as he took the tarmac hairpin in Wycombe Forest. Bertie Fisher was in seventh place, The Irishman had speeded up on the second day and was about to move up the leaderboard. Meanwhile, Cyril Bolton was having a good run in 8th place despite his lack of forest experience, and he was finding the Manta more manageable than his old TR8. John Michele again, and now his Toyota was in 2nd place in the mass production Group A category. The Oliver's Mount motorcycle racing circuit on the outskirts of Scarborough, and a big crowd to watch Chris Lord. Tarmac ace Bertie Fisher overshot the tight hairpin, but just scrabbled round. That's more than you can say for Cyril Bolton. Yes, Cyril, the bikes go up the hill, but you don't.
We got up to 4th on the 84-hour racing rally. At 2 seconds behind Michele MOUTON.
In the middle of Dalby, and the little Skoda of Hagland is up in the top 10. But here is Wilson, and he is definitely limping after trouble at Oliver's Mount.
Yeah, we've had a puncture in the long Derby with the stop and change, but I think we broke a drive shaft.
He's complaining of thought the drive shaft had gone, but they all seem to be okay at the moment.
Mechanic Paul Ridgway dives under the car, attempting to locate the problem, but time is tight.
It's got to be about a mile up the road in 6 minutes, so we ought to go in 4 minutes.
The diff wouldn't be broke or something, would it?
Well, it's spinning around both sides.
Yeah, can you not hold it though or something?
Well, we could try, but it's a bit bloody dangerous.
No, there's 2 on this side. Come on.
Well, anything you could do with the rear diff.
You reckon?
How long will it take you to change that?
Well, you want at least 15 minutes. At least.
Well, you've got the lease, but that's all.
Yeah.
Next time. Up we go.
Wilson was a worried man as he rushed off to the next Dalby stage. Russell Brooks may be able to snatch a lucky victory, and he is only 3 minutes down on Wilson now. Here is Malcolm Wilson again, and he is definitely in trouble. Look, that escort seems to be catching him up. This is desperate indeed, and the next service at the fire tower in the middle of Dalby will be crucial, where the service crew are still debating what they should do.
Well, he's just lost all drive on the rear end on stage 46, and he's just doing 47, coming back here, and then we're hoping to change the diff here and see what happens then.
If they change it in time, I mean, the car will be running perfectly again, and I really can't see us catching it. If they didn't change it in time, it would be excluded.
Wilson says the car is weaving on the straights, and again, Paul Ridgway, his chief mechanic, works feverishly to ensure the car will at least finish the rally.
There's nothing we can do, we just have to leave it. The front diff.
You had no noise at all from the front.
It isn't a front drive shaft, is it? It could be a
No,
drive.
from
We've had to do the last 3 stages with just 2-wheel drive, and we haven't been able to find out what it is exactly, but we think it's now the front differential. So if that is the case, we'll have to continue with just 2-wheel drive for the rest of the rally and hope that we can just maintain our lead.
How badly does that hamper you?
Oh, very, very much so. I mean, Russell took 16 off us in there, so I don't know how many miles of stage is left, but it's quite a tall order.
18 miles of stage is left, and based on the last stage, we're losing about 5 seconds a mile to him. If we continue at that rate, we're okay. If it was 10 seconds a mile, we'd be in trouble. So.
Yes, for the final few miles, it is absolutely everything crossed. Wilson heads away from service with a fresh set of Dunlops, but will he last? Malcolm is yet to win a British International. Will he be denied within sight of the finish? Harewood House, the last of the 51 stages, and the now 2-wheel drive Audi was still limping, but still in the lead. Surely he would make the final run back into Bradford. Russell Brooks was happy to be second, but still waiting to pounce if Wilson's car broke. After a superb drive, coming home for an excellent third place was Terry Cabey in the Nissan. Chris Lord was set for fourth place in his Audi. Chris had had a very nice day, thank you. Bertie Fisher slotted into fifth position with his Opel and now looks forward to his home circuit of Ireland. Group A victor and a superb sixth overall for Per Eklund and his co-driver Dave Whittock. Finally, back to Bradford, and Malcolm Wilson and Nigel Harris managed to make it to the end. Their first British international win, and the first win by Britain in this tough event for 8 years. At the finish, Malcolm was a mixture of relief and joy as he sprayed the champagne and then told me how he felt.
The last 8 stages, it's been fingers crossed, legs crossed, everything crossed. It's been unreal. We've had to do the last 8 stages with just two-wheel drive, and obviously it's quite a handful.
We can certainly see you battling there. Did you think you were going to make it?
There was a point on the run into the last stage when I thought we weren't, because the gearbox got so noisy. I honestly thought it was going to just explode.
Well, it didn't go bang, and Malcolm's wife Elaine rewards him with a victory embrace. Nice one, Malcolm.
And he deserved it too. Well done, Malcolm Wilson from Cumbria. His first ever British International Rally win in that Audi Quattro. Russell Brooks, he drove me round once, fairly terrifying experience, coming second, and KB third.
Day or night, rally fans seem to turn out to get their vital dose of noise, speed and power. Thankfully for people who like their sleep, morning had dawned when the cars which survived Kielder Forest in darkness reached the Lake District. The Cumbria Rally was the 9th out of 10 rounds for the National Championship, and one of the toughest. West Cumbria's Ken Wilson, co-driving for the Scot George Marshall. It was left to Wilson Sr. to carry the hopes of Cumbria after his more famous son Malcolm and Bill Doby from Maryport both came to grief. Also up with the leaders was Darrell Weedner, a Morpeth businessman who has the skill, the youth and the money to hit the rally in big time.
We've been fastest through all the Lake District stages this morning, but we lost a lot of time in Kielder last night because we lost all our brakes.
Oh, that's helpful.
Completely, all the brakes. And, you know, there's 120 mile an hour, 125 mile an hour straights there, not to have any brakes. Made it quite exciting. So we suffered the penalty with some time loss. So we're fighting back now. We're up to about 4th, I think.
Now, you two chaps are lying second at the moment. How's the rally been going, would you say?
Well, reasonably well. We kind of complain, like, no complaints. We're a bit apprehensive at the start about the dark and thing, but things have went pretty well. We've had a few frights, I dare say, but...
A few frights?
A few frights.
We just went round a 90 left, through a yump. The yump is that good terminology, and it throws into a pile of logs. We reversed off, spun round and carried on.
Did it put you back very much?
No, only about 20 seconds.
So if you just hop in...
As someone who drives 40,000 miles a year, rallying has never done anything for me, but I'm willing to be convinced. Who better to do the convincing than one of the world's top drivers, Russell Brooks? Russell wasn't actually competing, but he wanted to practice for the Lombard RAC rally in November. But he has such a love for the sport, I suspect he'd have done it anyway.
Tell you why, once you've been out in the forest, but to drive a car like this fast down a narrow forest road, and because it's loose surfaces, you can slide the car from one way to the other, and it's very powerful. I mean, on some of the straights we'll be pulling 8,000 in top gear, which is about 120 miles an hour. It is one of
I don't like to think about it.
It is one of the most exciting sports there is, and it's a team sport because it's not only me, it's the co-driver, it's the mechanics, and they're all a vital part of the team.
Right, well, the co-driver would normally be sitting here, but it's me today, so...
30 seconds. Shut your door, please.
5, 4, 3, 2, 1.
Well, this is Ian and Russell. We've just started a stage, and I've never quite done anything like this before in my life. 70 miles an hour is all right on the motorway, but with trees flashing past, it's quite horrific. And Russell's driving is quite amazing.
I now admit rally drivers have skill and guts, preferably cast iron. I was sick. But some drivers don't have as much money as they'd like.
Well, it's very difficult to quantify, but there's a lot of depreciation on the car because a few bits get knocked off the underneath. But the main expense really is the tyres. The tyres are terribly expensive. About £60 a tyre is the average price.
And how many would you use?
Well, it's best to do about 5 to 10 miles on a tyre and then get rid of it.
5 to 10 miles?
Yeah, on the rears wear much more quickly. We buy other people's tyres. When they've done their 10 miles with them, we do 10 miles with them, and then we get rid of ours. Often we do a bit more than 10, actually. We've had a puncture this morning, which has dropped us down the field a bit, so we've actually splashed out and bought some new ones.
Get the checkbook out.
That's it, yeah. The notes, actually. He's not so keen on the checkbooks.
Bill Limburn, a dentist from Peugeot, roars off to first place in the club drivers section of the rally. First in the rally proper was David Llewellyn from Wales, who'd led throughout the competition. But the best local news was that Darrell Weedner's fourth place puts him top in the championship and favourite to win the title.
Quattro, setting the Rothmans Manx 1984 underway.
5, 4, 3, 2, 1,
As MIKKOLA sets off on the first special stage, high up the mountain, the low cloud and fog severely restrict visibility. Behind MIKKOLA is Jimmy McRae in his Opel Manta 400, followed by Per Eklund in the Group A Toyota Corolla. Eklund, known to excel in these conditions, is chasing the manufacturer's title for Toyota. Henry Toivolin's back injury means he is replaced in the Rothmans Porsche team by the young Finn Juha Kankkunen. 3 times winner of the Manx, Tony Pond this year is driving a Group A Rover Vitesse. He knows the island well, but in these conditions, it's the co-driver who becomes the eyes inside the car. Pond can see little ahead of him, so he relies on co-driver Rob Arthur to read the pace notes that they've made together in days of practicing before the event. In these conditions, the pace notes are the only way to a fast time. Driver and co-driver must have absolute faith in each other's ability.
tightens the kink to absolute right, twisty 70, long flat right, the long absolute left continues over 200.
When the visibility improves, Pond's natural skill is clear for all the many spectators to see. The Rover Vitesse is a big, big car, and the Isle of Man roads are narrow and twisty.
Left right over cross tightens, hairpin left.
Pond is driving brilliantly and working hard, so hard that at times the oil in the Rover's power steering pump actually begins to boil.
Fast K left tightens, the fast K right tightens. Twisty 70. Flat left tightens, the slight left continues.
But right from the start, it's Russell Brooks in his Opel Manta 400 who is really flying. Eklund, in the same class as the big Rover, has electrical problems in the Toyota Corolla GT, and it's down on power. Kankkunen's rally is soon to be over. Before he's actually been able to exploit the enormous power of the Rothmans Porsche, a sudden drop in oil pressure leads to an expensive engine failure on only the 4th special stage. And there's high drama too for championship leader MICHELE. The incessant bumps on the Manx roads have led to the Audi Quattro being stuck in 4th gear, making it impossible to drive up the mountain.
So, that was the end of month 84, I'm afraid.
Very short one for you.
Short one, yes. 3 stages only.
Also suffering from the bumps, physically, is Chris Lord in the VW Golf. It leads to a back injury for the Yorkshireman, while Lancashire man Cyril Bolton is having the drive of his life in an unbelievable 3rd place. Bertie Fisher's problems are not with the driver, but with his car. The Opel Manta 400 is severely restricted by brake problems. Ian Tilke is taking full advantage of the early retirements and pushes his Silkaline Escort hard, establishing himself with the front runners. Local driver Tony Higgins should know where he's going. His wife Christina is co-driving. With MICHELE out, it's obvious we're going to have a British Open champion. But will it be Russell Brooks or Jimmy McRae in the AC Delco car? For either driver, outright victory is far from certain by the way Pond is handling the Rover. But Bertie Fisher is finding the brakeless Opel a handful. In Group A, Michael Sundstrom's Opel Ascona is setting a fast pace, while Chris Lord is set to retire, and at the end of the first day, a puncture has cost Russell Brooks over 3 minutes. So it's Jimmy McRae who leads, but he too has had his moments.
Had to come to a complete standstill because of sheep. Yeah, in the first stage this morning, there was about a dozen sheep coming over the hill towards us. So to actually stop, let them spread, then we went on. HANNU was the same. HANNU got them as well.
Is that a usual hazard on the Isle of Man, Jimmy?
It's, I've never had it before, no. I think somebody must have chased them there. I think Russell Brooks.
McRae starts the second day with a 2.5-minute lead over Brooks. Russell is determined to close the gap and is driving absolutely flat out. Chasing them both is a hard-charging Tony Pond. While catching Pond is Bertie Fisher in his Shell Gold car. The weather still hasn't improved. The roads are wet and very slippery. Ian Tilke presses on in the Escort. He's in 9th place. For Toyota, the new day looks brighter. The Audi Quattro's retirement means the manufacturer's crown is safe, but Eklund wants to be back in the top 10. Yesterday's problems have pushed him well down the field. As Brooks and McRae battle for the lead, the higher retirement rate sees new names running at the top of the field. Theo Bengry in his Opel Ascona, hot rod racer Davy Evans in the Nissan 240 RS, and Mark Lovell is showing well in the Group A VW Golf GTI. But McRae's lead is cut when he too has a puncture and loses nearly a minute. Now the race is really on. Brooks sees his opportunity and presses the Scotsman even harder, setting fastest times over the next 2 stages, slicing more time away from McRae, but it's not to be. On stage 31, Russell's Manta hits a bridge parapet and he's out of the rally. A sad end to his hopes of being British champion. Brooks' demise pushes Pond up to 2nd place. But Bertie Fisher is now going much quicker. His brakes at last seem to have been sorted out, and he overtakes Pond, but is still a long way behind McRae. The 1984 Rothmans Manx Rally now has a settled look to it, with McRae first and the others left to fight amongst themselves for the minor placings. Fisher is in a comfortable 2nd place as dusk falls at the end of the 2nd day. As Jimmy McRae sets out on the final morning, again there's fog. The Scotsman's lead is impressive, but he cannot afford to relax or let up the incessant pace over the narrow roads. If he does, it could lead to a lapse in concentration, and McRae would hand victory to a hard-charging Bertie Fisher. Pond too is ready to capitalize on any mistakes made by the 2 Opel drivers.
And fast right.
Davy Evans is a good 6th, another impressive performance. Per Eklund has moved up to 7th place, a remarkable drive by the hard-working Swede and the neatly turned-out Toyota Corolla GT. John Price has kept his Renault 5 Turbo pointing in the correct direction, despite the car being difficult to handle in the wet conditions.